this is John for MTG Nexus, coming at you with a little bit of a unique version of Burn. This is a version submitted by Seeknayr. Whenever I sought out versions of deck lists people are playing in for Burn. As a friendly reminder, if you like lightning bolt based content, please consider subscribing to the channel, as we aim to be the most informative lightning bolt based channel for Modern on YouTube. So I did make one adjustment to this list. Ryan or Seeknayr had 5 basic mountains and 4 fetch lands. Maybe that's just a personal preference or whatever, but I cut 2 basic mountains for 2 fetch lands. We have a little bit more consistent mana in terms of ability to fetch out white sources, as well as the ability to not flood out terribly much, and fetch lands kind of obviously I'll work with that. So this is a dual whammy. This is an Thunderous Incinerator build with 4 copies of Thunderous Wrath. Now, very interesting. Obviously, Thunderous Wrath, not a card you want to see in your opening hand. Thunderous Incinerator is kind of the opposite. It's a card you want to see in your opening hand. So you automatically kind of have 2 cards that kind of play off of each other very well, especially if you can Miracle Thunderous Wrath while having an Incinerator in hand. Like, one is a fantastic top deck, but terrible in your opening hand. The other one's pretty good in your opening hand and a terrible top deck a lot of times. And then beyond that, when you're running Incinerator, you do usually have to run 4 copies of Seal of Fire to go with 4 copies of Riftbolt to be able to play a turn 2 Thunderous Incinerator pretty consistently. We're going with the straight White Splash, which is the 4 copies of Boros Charm in the main, and then some Path Exiles on the sideboard. Eidolons are in the sideboard, which is interesting, as well as copies of Skullcrack. So Thunderous Wrath kind of takes the flex spot of like Eidolons or other things you'd play in the slot like Skullcracks and such. Smash to Smithereens, obviously a necessary evil against Chalice, and then 3 copies of Relic of Progenitus. Definitely the graveyard hate I've preferred of late, although I haven't played as much Burn, so it's kind of hard to say with if Oops or Dredge have been on the uptake in which you might want like Rest in Peace instead. So beyond that, yeah, deck looks pretty interesting. We'll see how it does in the league. Another thing to note is when you're playing a Miracle card, being careful when you crack your Sunbaked Canyons and Fiery Islets, as this is a card that could be a terrible, flip on your turn, but could be a good flip during your opponent's turn, etc. And although it is an instant, it really doesn't matter if you Miracle it. You can cast a sorcery speed Miracle on their turn anyway. Just kind of the way the mechanic works, which is weird, which is how Terminus gets around things. So we'll see how this goes. Thanks to Ryan and Seeknayr for his submission, and we'll see how this deck goes. Here for match number 1. Sure, opponent good luck. Hand's pretty reasonable overall, though we are up against a Lurrus deck, so could be up against Shadow, but I still think we keep this hand. Snow-covered plains Lurrus. So possibly some variant of Death and Taxes, perhaps? Ornithopter. I have no idea what's going on here. Sure. Hammer time. Just going to hold Seal of Fire up here. It's awkward because they have so many different ways to equip the hammer at instant speed, like Sigarda's Aid and some other stuff. So it's kind of like debatable when we actually want to pop Seal of Fire. Yeah, that's kind of whatever. Sure. So 4, 4. 4.8. Don't think we can quite kill them here, but I am gonna go lava spike. This is gonna force a chump block, correct? No, they'll put them to 1. Besides, we know they have a path exile anyway, so. Surprised they didn't put the hammer in there, but whatever. Shadow Spear, sure. Flooding out may cost us this game, unfortunately. Discard his age, sure. Yep. Okay. They are a weird mix of stuff. Problem is our opponent has both Shadow Spear and hammer in hand. You want me to put down my hammer? Cast ores and equipment. Equipment enters the battlefield under control. Attach it to a creature you control. Yeah, that hammer plus that's really freaking annoying. Sure. Really? Yep. We got outplayed by a weird version of hammer time here. Alright. So we bring in the paths. Bring in the smashes. Go down the Boros charms. Try like that. So like some kind of weird amalgamation of hammer time plus pure steel paladin combo, it looks like. I don't really know how I feel about it, but we are down a game, so. Let's see if they reveal Lurrus again here. This hand's already got a mulligan in it. Huh. Yeah, maybe I should have kept the... Okay, hand seems fine. Swiftfoot Boots. Burrington Forge Tender. Because nothing... Okay, that was very odd timing and very just, like, not good. Turn here. Yep. Deals us 2 damage, gains them 2 life, but in reality just kind of... Yep, that's whatever. Yep. Moving on. Alright, we're back for match number 2. Immediately have a hand we have to mulligan because of double Thunderous Wrath. So I think on the draw we keep this hand, put back Thunderous Wrath. See if we draw a land first. Really stare down Tron. Well, don't know which version of Tron it is, so we'll go with the more likely to succeed version of winning. And we just immediately hand them the second part of Tron. Okay, so they're blue Tron with Chalice on one. Oh, for freaking A. Rough league. Debating if they want to counter this. So we'll probably get the counter spell out of their hand, for better or worse. Mark that for that. Probably get the final piece of Tron. Comes down to what can I do with it. I think Ugin would be the worst, or Worm Coil plus Force of Negation. I'm quite fortunate so far that we haven't drawn too many of our 1-mana spells so far. Okay. Snaring Bridge. Chalice on 0. Okay. Definitely feels like Ensnaring Bridge. Is that lethal? 6. Yeah, I think that's lethal. Or if our opponent double queuing. That feels like a concession lockup. Alright, so mono blue Tron, which I don't see all that often, but it does seem to pop up on these championship days, so to speak. Mono blue Tron. Packing the 4 Chalice main version, or 3 Chalice main. Seems to be an exception at the moment. Definitely want the smashes. Eidolon's kind of whatever. And he might have some number of Ether Gusts. I could probably shave at least one of those. Relic could be okay, might be a little too cute though. So just gonna say shave the incinerators, do this. Maybe shave 2 Sealifiers. Guess I should be bringing in Skullcrack. Guess we'll keep this hand. I mean, this version's fine. just got better. Man, sure. Sure. Let's charm you. I think the Nurse's Mind isn't particularly relevant. That, however, could be very problematic. Now they have to decide if they want to hold up Remand or if they just want to chalice us on 2. I think they're going to choose to chalice us on 2. Oop. What a weird game. Rest of my hand is basically nonsense. Have 4 uncastable cards because of this chalice. Okay. All right. Coil, sure. It's kind of our turn to win the game. Try to, anyway. Our opponent has to decide if they want to Worm Coil or Chalice on 3. Chalice. Huh. Okay. Now we're kind of hoping for a miracle. Do you have the counterspell? Most likely. Oh wait, you can't cast it. Never mind. The miracle giveth, and the miracle taketh away. I'd feel bad, but locked under chalice. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Back for match number 3. This hand's close, right? So, factors in favor of keeping. Obviously, you have the 1-drop, 1-drop. Burn spell, burn spell, burn spell hand. This is already basically a mulligan to 6 because of Thunderous Wrath. This hand's hard to lay down, but I think I'm going to keep. Alright, immediately run face first into a Fatal Push, I'm going to guess. Just since our opponent's not passing the turn, just Fatal Push me already. Don't make me run through the motions here. Okay, no Fatal Push, sure. Sure. Give me a land, please, deck. There we go. Why would you keep a hand that slow in Modern, but whatever. This is giving me some Twitter vibes of a deck. Deck did not have Search for Azcanta. Okay, so we're up against Mill with a really bad hand, it looks like, maybe. Pass turn. Mill confirmed. Sure. You gotta clean the dust, you gotta clean the dust. Leave it out. Alright. So glitz the unthinkable. Probably want skull cracks. Probably don't want Thunderous incinerators because of things like ensnaring bridge. Eidolon's pretty decent. Smash. Smash is debatable, although they're likely bringing in bridge, so we probably want some number of them. And it comes down to what's the last cuts. Keeping in seals just as answers to crabs in case they have them, plus these Guild Enforcer is a thing. Once again, got the awkward Thunderous Wrath in hand, but I do think we keep. Okay, do the fatal push. Feels like you do. Really feels like you do. Yep. Sure. Sure, this. You're gonna have crabs. Sure. Hopefully they didn't actually want the card. Yep. Probably never actually cracking that fetch, but you know, whatevs. Pass turn. Okay, interesting. They're knowing themselves. Yep, this is a thing that's really about to happen to you, friend. All right. Did we get there? Looks like we got there. Back for match number 4. This hand's just weird. Do you think we keep it though? But once again, this hand could be problematic. Alright, hand just got better. Path Exile. Opponent clearly wants to draw that path. Should incentivize them to path our dude. Factor Fiction. Okay, so there's some Bant Uro Pile. I was gonna say, I'm guessing here comes Uro Claws. Yep. Alright, Growth Spiral, sure, whatever. Okay, I got 4 zombies here. Only 2 zombies. Seems dubious. Do you have Force of Negation? I can get back Uro, go to 5. There's a good chance they have a blue card to go with their Force of Negation, so... In fact, we know they have another blue card because they have Growth Spiral in hand. Alright, well that was fun. Uro deck's doing Uro things. Thunderous Incinerator is very bad. Eidolon's good. Skullcrack's good. Relic's good. Seal Fires are kind of whatever. Cut a Rift Bolt. Pass turn. So I'd love to play first. This hand's great. Buy its stuff. By great, I mean we have a 1-mana creature, and we have a relic representing this. We have some anti-life gain measures. Backer Fiction, sure, whatever. Clunky card advantage card. Let's see if our opponent has a path here. Play Relic. Okay. Sure. Do this. Maybe we can spike a miracle. We did. Bam. Guess we'll start with a Boreas Charm. Bit of a gamble here, but if they don't have Force Invocation, this is just game. Alright, well that was the easy game. That's the problem with these matchups. Like, if you lose game 1, game 2, yeah, you have a decent shot, but then game 3, you're going to win on the draw. Still only think they have Uro as a threat in their deck. Rest of the deck's kind of whatever. Four lands, can't keep. Put back Thunderous Wrath. That's unfortunate, but is what it is. Celestial Purge, perhaps? Ether Gust? Sure. Fortunately, these are the games we lose because we're down resources and they probably have an Uro here. Yep, every friggin' time. Another one of the Wraths are on the bottom of our deck. These are the matchups these cards are so obnoxious in. Yep. Sure. So they must have just drawn the breeding pool, or they didn't want to shock it in to do the thing. Yep. So in a perfect world, Skullcrack resolves, and then we top deck one of our other two Thunderous Wraths. And it doesn't look like it really particularly matters here, as Remand will effectively end the game. Yep, wouldn't have gotten there anyway. Alright, we're back for match number 5. Have we won a die roll this league? Don't think so. Maybe match number 1? Okay. Sure. The basic swamp throws me off in the Inquisition. Otherwise, I would say this is Shadow. This could easily be 8-rack. position, kind of obnoxious. I'm beginning to lean towards 8. Nope. Okay then. Well, looks like they might have a bolt for our Goblin Guide, perhaps. Maybe I got too cute with the Boros charm there. Luris. Main deck Luris. Alright. Well, I mean, it's basically a card for card exchange, only they're taking a shock instead of a... Oh, they just have Unearth, so it really didn't matter what we did. Gotcha. That was exactly what I wanted. Another land. Thunderous Wrath on their turn would have been amazing. Probably want relics, probably want eidolons. Not entirely sure what all they're packing over there, but I suspect they probably have skelementals. Got the Boros charms. Try it like this. What a weird league. Awkward Thunderous Wrath, but I still think we keep it because of the rest of the hand. Immediately hand them a land. Sure, whatever. Immediately hand them another land. Okay. Sure. Okay, there's a Spyro. No blocks. Feels like we're in trouble. Let them move to combat first. So we need, like, what? Thunderous Wrath into something else, or something else into Thunderous Wrath? Okay, never mind. Pretty sure we're dead no matter when we crack this. Well, that was a disappointing league in some regards, but a bunch of weird matches, so I don't know how much you can take from it. So, be back in a sec with the wrap-up. So, I guess the way I could break this down is, number one, we played against a lot of weird decks today. We played against Mill, Blue Tron, Red Black Skelemental, Luris Thing, three color Uro Pile, Bant Uro, whatever, and then the fifth match was... what was the fifth match? Anyways, all that to say, kind of hard to get a takeaway from playing this deck when you only really played against one tier or current tier deck. The one thing I will say is that the combination of both Thunderous Wrath and Incinerator does feel very much like too many things going on with this style of deck. I think the deck's name was Gambler Burn, and I honestly think if you're gonna gamble on burn, that you choose Incinerator or Thunderous Wrath, not both, because like I kind of said in the beginning, deck tech, Thunderous Wrath, terrible in your opening hand. A lot of situations where we kept opening hands where Thunderous Wrath, if it was on the other card, would have been great. The opposite is true of Incinerator. It's generally a very bad top deck, very good in your opening hand if you can craft a game plan around it. Yeah. Just, the variance on this version is very real. Granted, the matchups we faced weren't the best, and so it's really kind of hard to get a takeaway. I mean, Thunderous Wrath did have one spot where it stole us a game. It also had several hands where we had a mulligan because of it, so... I don't know. I'm not very particularly high on Incinerator right now anyway. I do think it's a card that from time to time does its thing, and it's fine. It's good in some board states, but when you don't really play against a ton of creature decks, kind of is irrelevant a lot of times, even as a 6/6. The sideboard felt like a good split for what was going on in the main deck. Lots of playing utility cards. Eidolon coming in some spots was fine. Overall, for what the deck was trying to do, it was fine. Once again, I do think it's one of the big hallmarks of Burn is its consistency. And when you're introducing cards like Thunderous Wrath and Shunner's Incinerator, sometimes you're just really weakening that consistency. And for not a lot of gain, especially when you're running both cards. So that's kind of where I would look at the list. I think it's a fine thing to take out from time to time. Thunderous Wrath is kind of one of those cards that I think I would rather have it as a 1 of than a 4 of when I'm even tempted to play the card. But deck was fine, was fun in some spots with what it did, but the inconsistency it really makes to the deck with both cards being in the deck just really doesn't feel like something, if you're trying to do something kind of serious and not just off the wall and have some fun, wouldn't be a build of Burn I would recommend. If you're trying to just have some fun, horse around a little bit, mess with your opponent, just get a moments with the miracles, maybe this build's for you. Anyways, thanks to I think it was Ryan for the deck list, right? Thanks to Ryan for the deck list. Seeknayr. I mean, don't get me wrong, the deck's fun. It is what it is, really. It's inconsistent. So, thanks to Ryan for the list. List was a blast. Sometimes Thunderous Wrath literally got us out of Chalice on 1, 2, and 3. Matchups were weird, so really kind of hard to get the takeaway of how good it is, but it's definitely interesting to experiment with different things sometimes. So, this has been John for MTG Nexus.